Hi there grade 12s, and this is our second video in helping you prepare for your upcoming prelim prac. Again, we are now going to look at the layout of your practical paper. We're going to go through a couple of questions, so it might be a little longer than the theory video, but it's definitely going to be worth it in terms of what you need to know and what you need to prepare for. So let me just move forward here. So your typical layout that you're going to find to your question paper are usually 2 questions on Word, 2 questions on Excel, 1 on Access, 1 on HTML, and then file management, where they ask you just some general things to do, whether it's creating shortcuts, deleting things, creating new files or folders, etc. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is Microsoft Word. Now, when I say that this counts for 2 questions, as I mentioned, you're probably looking at a total for those 2 of around 50 marks. Usually Excel will be the same, Access will be around about 40, HTML comes in at about 20-25 marks, and then the balance of about 15-20 marks comes from file management. Now, another tip is that you can start with any one you want to. Okay, it's a prac paper. You can start wherever you want to, wherever you are most comfortable, and then move on to the more difficult items. So at least you know you're getting marks from the word go. Okay, so let's look at Microsoft Word. So here are a few questions that have come up over the last year. Here's one. Remove the automatic hyphenation from the document. So let me just get document open here. When it comes to our hyphenation, let's see where are we going to go to. We're going to look at our layout. We're going to go to hyphenation, and we're going to choose the option obviously that we want. If they want us to remove it, we're going to click on no. They might ask us to put it in, or they might even ask us to see to a few items over here. So it's just so that you know where you need to be going to. Right. Next one says insert a caption to the picture under the particular heading. So let me just get that. Right, so under the references tab, we're going to go over here to insert caption. So let's say, for example, I have a picture, and I'm just going to use really anything I can find here. Let's use that. And then I'm going to go references, and I'm going to go insert caption, and I'm going to say this is a tiger. Again, I can do whatever I need to over here according to the instructions. Click OK, and there's my caption. Right, next one. Remove the hyperlink. Okay, and then I'm going to look at the next one also. Restore the picture below the heading to its original color. Okay, so let's do that quickly. So here I've got my picture, and let's just make it a bit bigger, and I'm going to go to picture format, and let's say this was we had some artistic effect over there. We had that, and we wanted to insert a hyperlink, or we needed to remove a hyperlink. So the first things first, let's go and insert a hyperlink. How do we do that? We are going to be highlighting what we want to change into a hyperlink. We are then going to go insert hyperlink, and then we'll say where we want the particular hyperlink referring to. So I'm going to say placed in this document. Just going to say top of the document. Okay, and there's my hyperlink. Now I want that hyperlink removed, right? So I'm just going to highlight that again. I'm going to go up to my links, and I'm just going to say remove link, and there my hyperlink has now been removed. Now they also told me that they want my picture to go back to its original state, so I can click on that, go up to picture format, go to my artistic effects, and go over to the top left hand corner where it says none, and that'll take me back to what my original picture looked like. Okay, next one, find the text question 2.6 below the heading and replace that with a cross-reference. Okay, so guys, when they ask you about the cross-referencing, and let's see, let's just say for argument's sake we're going to use this wording that's over here. We can go to our references, and then we're going to click on cross-reference. Now you will indicate on the first box, first drop down box, what you want reference. You know, what are you referencing? Are you referencing to a heading text, whatever it is? Do you want it inserted as a hyperlink? So if you just follow this, then you'll be fine to be able to do the cross-referencing, right? They tell us in this one that we needed to find this text, and we needed to cross-reference it with a particular picture. Okay, so that was fine. Then here at the bottom, here's another typical question that came up. Find the text that begins with does it make a difference, and then you want to change the layout of the text. Now let's see, I've got another, let me just get another document open here. Let's use, for example, this one. What do they want us to do? Change the layout, 2 columns. Okay, so we're basically dealing with columns here, and I'm just going to take this text that I have and I'm going to highlight this whole particular, just make sure I've highlighted everything, this paragraph of text. Now when it comes to my columns, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to the layout tab, I'm going to go to columns, and you can see I've got 1, 2, 3 left and right, but they want more from me. So I'm going to go more columns, I'm going to say 2 columns, a line in between, and then I might want to adjust the width. Now by default it'll just be equal column width, but if I take that out, I can then change the width of the particular columns, again according to what they tell me. I'm going to click OK, and I see, okay, I don't have anything yet. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to insert a column break over here, which is going to take my text to the top of the next column, and there you can see I have my 2. Is that what they wanted? You see, set the width of the first one and the space between as well. So all of that is, like I mentioned, over here, width and spacing, so we can adjust all of that within this dialog box. Okay, let's look at the next. Next one says change the page size of the document to A4. Okay, that by now we should know how to do that. That's one of the first things that they usually ask you to do under the layout tab. We're going to go margins. Remember, they might want a custom margin. Okay, so we're just going to click on that, give them whatever they want over there. The orientation, portrait or landscape, the size, those are usually some of the simpler things that they do ask us to do. Okay, change the line spacing, starting with to be the same as the line spacing of the first paragraph. Remember now our line spacing, we'll first highlight whatever we need to, and then we can adjust our line spacing over here, or we can go to line spacing options for even more options that we can use and select to do our spacing. Again, it all depends on what they're asking us to do. Next one, replace all of the occurrences of the exact text ozone to appear in. Okay, so let's go find and replace. Now this is interesting because what happens here is normally we just go and look for a particular word. We go and find whatever word we are looking for, and then we go and we replace that. Okay, so let's go for the word studio, and we want to replace that with the word studio. Okay, but bear with me, there's our replace all and there's our replace. If I click on more, what I'm saying now is I can actually put certain things in place in terms of what I want to replace it with. So let's say I want to replace it with the word studio, but I want that to be bold, I want it to be underlined, maybe I want some sort of color with it as well. So I'm going to go bold, I'm going to change the size. I'm going to change the font color as well, and I'm going to click OK. So now what you'll see is once I've done that, it will actually show up in that replace with section. If you look at Studio, you'll see it's now saying it's going to replace this word as it is with this word, which is still Studio, but according to that font. So now I go replace all, tells me it's all done. I click OK, I click close, and have a look at that. It's changed it. Okay, right, so we have that sorted. See what else there is. Insert a 9x9 text box. Okay, that's just a normal text box that we insert in. And then page numbering. Please just remember with our page numbers, let me just move down. We've got our headers, our footers, and our page numbers, and then within page number, guys, don't forget we have the various areas where we can place our page numbers. Plus, if we go format page numbers, we can change things over there, where we want it to start at, etc. Please remember that if they want you to start it on a particular page, you will have to insert a section break and then start the page numbering after that particular section break. Okay, so there we've got page 1, and I'm just going to go all the way down so that I now have 3 pages. Okay, so let's say at the end of page 2, in fact on page 3 is where I want my numbering to start. What I can then do is just go, first when I go insert, I want to make sure that I've got a page break that I've got in there, so I'll go to the next page. Here is my page number as well, so I know where I'm going. Right, I'm going to go up also to layout, and you can see with layout, as opposed to page break, although I've still got it here, I can go to my section break as well. So I'm just going to put in a section break. I'm going to put on the paragraph marking so you can see that. Right, so now I go into page number 3, and I'm going to go insert page number. I'm going to go bottom of the page in the middle. I'm going to go take that link to previous off, and I'm going to go page number again, format page numbers, and I want to start it at number 1, and I'm going to close it. I've still got 1, 2, and then this one starting at 1. Okay, so now all I need to do is I'm just going to go and I'm going to remove that, click close my header, and that should be fine. Now you'll see page 1 and 2 has nothing, but my page numbering starts on page 3. And if I go over to the next page, I should have page number 2. Okay, so that's how we sort that out. Next one. Locate the placeholder 1 marked in blue. Edit the placeholder by inserting the following source. You go up to references, and we can go to manage sources. Once I click on manage sources, and maybe I don't have any sources because they want me to, add something new, I'm going to click on new source. I can then enter. I'm just going to enter anything over here, and I click OK. That source, that brand new source, will then be there, and I can then decide to insert that source. Okay, so I'm going to go here, I'm going to say insert citation, and then I'm going to select my source, and you'll see there is my source. Okay, so I've gone to manage sources, I've created a new source, and then insert citation, I then bring that one in. Or if they want a placeholder, there I can add a new placeholder as well. Okay, so yeah, that's where we will sort that out. Next one, locate the table under the heading and modify it as follows. They just want us to apply grid style, and yeah, I think that's it over there. Let me see. I'm just going to take this one, and I'm going to insert a table. and let's say that's my table. Okay, let's just take these paragraph markings off. So that's my table. Please remember, when you do click on the table and you select the entire table, you've got your table tools menu that pops up where you can change the design, and again you can change it to whatever you want, but you'll see the name is there. So whatever it is they are asking you to do, just go and select that particular one. Then the other thing they wanted me to do is to edit the style to align the text horizontally and vertically. So all I should really be doing, I can look again at my table design, see, okay, is there anything to do with that? I've got border styles, but not really what I want. Here's my layout. Here I can insert columns, cells, merging, all this type of thing. Here's my alignment. So I just want to make sure align center horizontally and vertically. Okay, so you can see, guys, everything is here for you. And then a word processing feature that then counts the number of words, and all we will do is just go to the review tab and we'll go to a particular section and we'll just say word count, and it will tell me. Okay, so that's that. Right, let's move on. Last thing with Word, they'll sometimes ask you about the smart art, so just bear that in mind. Let me just go over here and we're going to insert some smart art. Got smart art. Obviously you want to look for the one that they are showing you, so I had to just check here. I had something similar. Let's see, yeah, it's this one over here. It doesn't quite look like that, but once I insert it, have a look over here at the smart art design. You can see I've got different looks, you know, sort of like a 3D look, etc. And then I've got different layouts here as well, so I could look at that and say, okay, is there something similar? Okay, nothing quite yet. Let's just go down. Here we go. There's the one I'm looking for. Right, so now I can go there. I can go and change the individual colors if I want to. I can go and change the text to whatever I need to, and that's basically my smart art that they were looking for over here. Okay, so guys, I think that basically covers more or less what they ask and what they require from you in Word. I think the only other thing is just a mail merge as well. Now remember, with your mail merge 4-step process, we go to our mailings, we go start mail merge, we select our recipients and always use an existing list. Then we go insert merge fields, we click on preview just to see that everything's okay, and then we finish and merge. So start, select, insert and finish. Right, and that's our Microsoft Word section. Next up is Excel. So we know with Excel we are looking at formulas, we are looking at charts, we are looking at conditional formatting, etc. So let's jump in and see what Excel has in store for us. One of the first things that we'll find in Excel, and I'm not going to go through the basics, by now we know the basics of Excel. Here's two questions that have popped up before. The first one is insert a function to determine the second smallest air quality. So that is already giving us our clue. And if I just move this over, and I'm just going to go to any sheet, in fact just use this one. Remember, with our formulas of small and large, if I use this as a range over here and I say I want the second smallest, then I'm going to pop in the number 2 at the end. This will then give me the second smallest number in the range. In the same way, if I want the second largest number, I can just use equals large. Okay, so that should sort that out. Then they want us to add the option urban to the existing validation rule in cell B7. So if we've got a validation rule, they just want us to add one of those options to that. And then the one I want to go through is this one over here, your nested if. So I'm going to use an example that I have used before. This is actually as part of your data files. Okay, so here we've got our if statements, and they were given a score here, and here they tell us display the correct message for the mark obtained. So remember, our nested if is an if statement within an if statement. Okay, so let us not forget that. Okay, so how do we start? It equals if. I'm going to open my bracket, and here they begin to tell us now, okay, so what is it we want? Well, we want to see if whatever is in cell B2, and what's our first one, if it's going to be greater than or equal to 75. Remember, from 75 up, what must happen? It's got to display distinction. Okay, so that's the first thing that must happen. Now, if it doesn't match up with that, the next thing we're going to do is again put in another if statement and say, well, if whatever is in cell B2 is greater than or equal to 50, what must then happen? It must display the word pass. And if it doesn't do, or if it doesn't comply with any one of those, then it must display fail. Okay, so we just want to check, do we have enough brackets? We've got that in place. We hit enter, and there we can see 54 should fall into pass, and that's fine. Okay, this one will be more or less the same, but I want to actually jump to the last one over here. So let me just zoom in. Right, so we're going to use the same method, equals if, and in fact, before I start, we want to look at those that's more than 999. So it doesn't include 999. Okay, the person must have bought for more than 999. So you can say greater than 999. You can say greater than or equals to 1,000. However, if you do 1,000, remember, anything more than 999 can be 999.10 cents. So rather don't use the 1,000. Okay, so let's go equals if. And then again, we're saying whatever is in this cell, if it is greater than 999, what must happen? There must be a 10% discount. So we're going to pop in 10%, and then we're going to start our if again. And if whatever is in B12, if that is, now we're going to say greater than or equal to 500, then they must get a 5% discount, and anyone else must just get a 2% discount. Make sure our brackets are closed, and you can see our little formula area that's telling us what to do goes away. Hit enter, and there you can see we have our 10%. So that is our nested if. Right, let me just close that. So the next one, so the attendees are grouped into 4 teams depending on how many courses they do. Insert a function to determine in which team this individual is going to be, and then we need to copy that to the other cells. Now, again, look at what they're saying. 5 courses and less. This is another nested if. Okay, this is another nested if. 5 or less. So it will be less than or equal to 5. This one, 8 courses and less. Less than or equal to 8. 10 courses and less. Less than or equal to 10. More than 10, not 10, more than 10. So greater than 10 equals yellow, and you will simply just use your autofill. Remember, when you use autofill, especially for nested ifs like this, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to insert your absolute cell referencing. So please do not forget that. All right, then the next one, use a COUNTIF function. Now, please, when it comes to your formulas, do make sure, if you just want things to be a little bit a little easier for you, You can just go up to the Formulas tab, Insert Function. Okay, that's because I typed in small. Let's just go to another cell, Insert Function, and you can select your formula here. So I'm going to select COUNTIF. Now you can see already it's telling me what should happen. I need to select a range, I need to select the criteria, and it will give me my answer. And this will help me just to get those formulas correct. Now remember, it's a case of we are counting if it matches a criteria. So we need to highlight a range. Where do we want it to have a look, through? And what do we want it to look for? And that's how it will then do that count if for us. For this one, they're telling us the data in column G incorrectly displays values for recycling air pollution. Apply a spreadsheet feature to column G to fill the cells with a color of your choice whenever the targeted pollution from column C is indicated. So what are they actually saying here? They're saying we need to use conditional formatting. So I'm just going to take you through conditional formatting, and you can see I'm just going to use this for example over here. And our conditional formatting, our home tab, there we have it under styles. And we have by default certain things that we can insert. Now we can go highlight cell rules, and you can see a number of things there. Top and bottom rules. Here we've got data bars where we can do gradient fills as well. We've got color scales as well. So know all of these things because they can ask it. I know in the last exam they did ask you to actually use the gradient fill. So just bear that in mind. We can go in clear rules here, and I can also click on here to see if there are any rules over here as well. So having said that, let's just have a look. Apply a spreadsheet feature to fill the cells with a color of your choice. So conditional formatting whenever the targeted pollution is reached. So obviously I don't have that data file, but you would just go up to your conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, and they say, whenever that particular level. So it would probably be something like equals to, or you could put a specific rule in place, right? Format cells only, according to a specific rule, but just know where this is and practice this. Okay, you can see you can go apply specific formatting as well to whatever rule you are putting in place. Okay. All right, next one. Use a function in cell G7 to add today's date in the format. Okay, so now this is something that has come up before, where you will put in the date, and I'm just going to use 08/08/2022, and they tell you to change the format of that date. Now you can just right click, format cells, date, and change the layout unless they want something custom. If they want something custom, you click on custom, and you can actually go and type it in over here. So let's say you want the day displayed first, then you want the year, but you don't want the full year, you want it shortened, and the month, you want that, the full month, you want that displayed. You can then click OK, and there you can see. So if I go to this one and I say 2022 08/08, you can see it will stay like that. This one has been formatted differently, and I can see it up there as opposed to date. Okay. All right, so when it comes to our dates, we've got equals now. You can see that gives us the date and time. And we've got equals today, which will just give us today's date. Please remember both of these will update automatically, but equals now will give you the time, and obviously equals today will give you just today's date. Now let's say someone was born in 1981 08 and let's say 14. I'm just going to use the exact same date over here, and they want us in a different cell to put in a calculation that's actually going to work out the number of years. So the first thing we're going to do is just subtract the one from the other, And if that is wrong, you can see because I started with 81, all I'm going to do is just going to change that around. And I'm going to say today's date. Remember, this is a formula today. And I'm going to subtract that from this. And it's going to give me the answer in this format. Now, in order for me to change that, what I'm going to have to do is go into my formula, as you can see on top over there. And I'm going to then take that and I'm going to divide that by 365. Now, why am I going to divide that by 365? Because there's 365 days in a year. And I actually just want to go back to that, because if we want to change what that looks like into a normal number, we can go up here, click on number, and you can see now we're getting 14,975, which is the number of days between these two dates. Now, when I go up into my formula and I pop in my divide by 365, it gives me 41,03 years, and they'll probably tell you, just to sort of round that off, and that would be 41 years. Okay, so that's how I end up getting my years. Again, if they want days, I can just leave that 365 out. Usually they'll want you to divide it by 365,25. So let's just do that, and the reason for that is because of the leap years. So 365,25. And there you can see I get 41. Okay, so it takes into account those leap years as well. All right, let's move on. Last one is dealing with graphs. So let me just bring this in here. And the main thing we just need to remember when it comes to graphs is where everything is, right? So here I have a graph that is being created, and you can see when I click on this, I've got a number of options on the side. I can add elements like data labels, so I can go and customize that. Okay, I've got different options. You can see my callouts, all these different types of things. I've got my data table that I can use, error bars, grid lines if they want the grid lines, if they don't want the grid lines, putting a legend in place, clicking on a trend line as well if they want us to do that. We've also then got our different styles that we can use, and we've got different filters in terms of what we want displayed. Like I can take 7 o'clock out there. I can change different things over here, and let me just take that out and apply that, and you can see 7 o'clock is now removed. Okay, remember I've also got my chart tools up here where I can fiddle around with the design. I can change the colors as well. I can switch rows and columns, and I can change the chart type that I have there as well. So it just all depends on what they actually want from you. So let me just go over to the side, formatting the chart area of the graph by adding a picture. Okay, I'll do that now. Set the transparency. Okay, so they basically want us, in this case, I've looked at that, the data callout label. Use a spreadsheet feature to move the graph to a new worksheet called graph. All right, so let's look at this. So I'm going to click on my chart, and I want to now insert a picture. Okay, so how am I going to do that? Okay, so I'm simply going to right click on my chart. I'm going to go to format chart area, and with my fill, I'm going to select picture, and there you can see it's going to fill it by default with a texture fill, but I can choose what sort of picture I want to bring in. So let's just see what I've got here by default. Let's use this over here, and the transparency they want around 50%. So you can see I can do that. 50% over there. What else do they want? Use a filter option to remove 2 courses. So as you saw the last time, I can go through here, I can decide what it is I want to actually remove. Okay, so I can remove this and select apply. And then they wanted me also to use a spreadsheet feature to move the chart. So if I go up to my chart design, I can click over here on move chart, and I can then tell it where I want it moved to. So if I create a new sheet and then I go move chart, I can say I want to move it maybe to a new sheet, and I can put in whatever name I want to, and I can click OK, and you can see there chart 1, right? Maybe and you can see also, because it's been moved, what's happening, right? The original is now, it's been completely taken away. Remember, that's the difference between copy and paste. Copy and cut. So that's exactly what they wanted us to do there. So that is sorted. Yeah, and that basically sums up what we really need to do. A few extra bits and pieces, but again, if you've got any questions on that, anything you'd specifically like me to look at with regards to Excel, then do let me know in the comments, and I can always go through that again. But that wraps up Excel, and now we move on to the infamous Access. Now, we already know with Access we have tables, reports, forms, and queries. Okay, so let's go and have a look at what they normally want in a table. And for that, let me actually just go to this file. You all know the CD table. So here we just have our normal table, and most of what needs to be done when it comes to the table is done within design view, your field names, the primary key, the data types. Please remember your data types. The lookup wizard is the one we use when we want to create combo boxes. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Then remember that we've got our property section here at the bottom, where we change things like the field size, the format, the input mask, which is always a very popular one that comes up. So let's go and have a look. Add a validation rule. So where do we do that? Remember, we've got a validation rule and validation text. The validation rule is going to tell you what must be entered. So you know the age-old thing, M or F. And then the text, that's the text that pops up when the person does not adhere to the rule. Okay, if they do anything other than the rule, this is the text that must pop up. Okay, each course is assigned with a code. Okay, so here, for example, they want us to pop in an input mask, and they want one that has 3 optional digits. Now, when it comes to optional digits, you are going to use the number 9. Okay, please also remember these things will be on the tag sheet. Okay, so it's not that you have to remember all of this. You just need to know where you actually need to go and use it. Okay, this is indicating number, 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 capital letter, number, number. Okay, insert a combo box. Okay, I've already touched on that. Remember, we're going to go and we're going to go lookup wizard. Now, when you go with the lookup wizard, sorry, let me just enter a new field, my name, and I'm going to go lookup wizard. You can see you've got 2 options. You can use the fields from a table, or you can select where you're going to enter the values yourself. Now, they will usually tell you. If they don't, okay, yeah, the courses are stored in the table. So they want you to use one from another table. You'll click next, you'll select the table, and then you can select the specific fields. So let me just take everything. You can sort it, and then if it's a proper table, it'll bring up the list over here. Okay. Right, things also like field size. Okay, I mentioned that. Combo box, right, did that already. Numbers must range. Okay, so that's fine. Again, just our field size. Okay, so this one says the values for the level field must range between that. So you can put in a validation rule. over there. Insert a suitable validation rule to ensure that, okay, so again, validation rule and text. This is just showing you a few of the examples, and then insert a new field. Also, when it comes to your fields, they might ask you to move one field, you know, above the others, taking a primary key away, popping a primary key in, those sort of things. So just pay attention to that. Also remember, even though you've got your field properties over here, there is a property sheet on the side. If it's not there, you can just double click on here and it'll open the property sheet where you can go and, you know, fiddle around with some of those properties there as well. Okay, so that's our table. In our form, let's just go and look at a form over here. And here's just some simple forms. Change the heading in the form header. Now, here they're talking about the form header, the form footer, a theme, and the date. So we can go into our design view. Here's our form header section, our detail section, and our form footer section. Now, please remember, we can go up, or when we are busy here, and we look at our form design tools. Again, we've got a property sheet on the side over here. So I can go into my form design. Here are my themes that I can choose for my form. I can arrange things as well, especially when I click on certain items. I can change the formatting as well. But in form design, this is where I'm going to select things like a text box. I'm going to select labels, whatever I need to put in. Please remember, this is a label, right? That when the person is actually looking at the form itself, you can't enter anything there. But the text box is where I can then enter certain things. So please just remember that. Let's see, design view. There we go. Okay. So yes, you can also go over here and you can see I can enter a background image. Maybe you want to color something, but guys, everything is here. You can see I can insert images here as well. There's my property sheet that I can take away or bring back. I can insert a chart as well. Again, all of the options you need is over there. So there you can see that is what it is. Let's go over here. We are in our, let's go to our form. Let's go to our design view. And let's say they want it in the form footer. We can simply go up, and it's going to be the same for the report, guys. I'm going to add a text box, and I'm just going to input equals now to get today's date. And you can see over there, there's my formula. Now again, I can get rid of the label, I can get rid of this box. You can do those things, but just understand where you actually go and do this. Okay? And yeah, I think that's all in terms of the function. So you just need to know a function, whatever they're asking you to do, and then you can take it from there. Okay, so with our queries, here we can see, and let's just maybe go back there, and let's open up our queries. And there you can see I've got a query open. And display all attendees who are 18 years and younger. Now, please remember with your queries, you don't have a huge amount of options, but I've got my field, I've got my table, I can sort it, I can also show it if I need to or not, and I can pop in a criteria as well. I can also put in totals over here if I need to do that, but that all depends on the question. Okay, you can see a display all attendees, sort, so my criteria, for example, with owner, let me just go here. Let's just say, for example, I want the pop genre, and I say, well, under genre, I want only pop. And I can run my query, and there you'll see only pop. Okay, so displaying only those who are 18 years and younger. So you will say less than 18. Sorting, that's fine. Show all users who do not use Vodacom. I know that was one particular item. So again, that will be in your criteria. Okay, that's going to be in your criteria. Then the other one was a calculated field. please remember when you are creating a calculated field, you're going to go into a new field and you're first going to type in the name. So let's say this is going to be my name field. You're going to put in your colon and then you are going to type out your calculation. So let's say, for example, I was going to go with replacement value times 10. I would need to put in my square brackets. And I need to type this out as it is let's just see in my query, or sorry, as it is in the field. So, okay, replacement value, and I want to multiply that by 10. Okay, so now when I run, there you can see I've got my field. It's multiplied that by 10. That works. Okay, so that's just our calculated query. Please remember, you need to have the name of what the field is going to be, your colon, and then your calculation. Okay, so here's another section also dealing with, displaying only these fields, sorting the query alphabetically. We already looked at that. Display only records where residents indicated that they have a knowledge of recycling. So again, this is based on criteria. Display only the records of people born after 1990. So on that particular field, again, you would put in a criteria, born after 1990. So you will say greater than 1990. Okay, and then insert a new calculated field. We just did an example on that. Okay, then last but not least, the report. Let's have a look at a report. Put the forms away. Let's just close all of this. And then we're going to look at our report. Now, the report usually is somewhere between 6 to 7 marks. Sometimes it can be a little more, depending on what they need. So here's a typical report. Here's a report that's being grouped. And here's a report with no grouping. Now, what do they want? Show only the following fields. Group the records according to the gender. Sort it. So remember, only these fields. Group, sort, display in landscape. Keep that in mind. Okay. Let's leave the function. Don't worry about the function yet. Add a label to the calculation. Ensure that all the data displays fully. Now, first of all, these two, a function and a label. Remember that when we go into our design view, similar to our form, we can go and we can add a text box. We can go and add a label, right? And many other things over here. So please just look at what you need to do. Here you can see, for example, there is a formula. Okay, so there's our formula equals now, which is going to give me the date. So if I go all the way to the bottom, there it tells me what the date is. Okay, so yeah, that should be fine. So the reason I said don't worry about these is because I'm going to show you this quickly. If I go and create a report, okay, sorry, create, and I use my report wizard. What are they doing? They're going to ask me for the relevant table, the fields. And what else are they going to ask me? Do I want it grouped? Yes. So I've got that ticked. Do I want it sorted? Yes. What layout do I want? What orientation? And the name. So just by doing that, I've sort of ticked all these boxes. And now all I've got to do is pop a function in the group footer, which once we've created our report, we can go there and we can just go and create a box here and tell them exactly what we want. Okay, so that should sort that. Then if you haven't done the grouping, you can always do it over here at the bottom, just following all these different headings. And yes, I think that should basically sort you out for Access. Now we move on to HTML. Generally what will happen is you will get something that looks similar to this. They'll then ask you to make changes. They'll never ask you to create it from scratch. So guys, things like inserting pictures, headings, bold and italic, your tables with your cell padding, your cell spacing, those type of things, is really what they keep asking you. And this is generally about 20 marks. So here you can see we've got a list, and I just want to take you to some coding that I have. over here, and you can see this is my code, and here I've got my HTML tag, and this is how you'll get it, right? They'll tell you that you need to pop something in over there. So this is heading 1, for example, so I know that's going to be a main heading. It's in the body section. Remember, if I want to change the background color, I can go BG color, and please remember it is American English, so it's BG color. Okay, equals red, and I can have that, and that will change the color to red. Here we've got image source, so this is the tag that we use to insert an image into our website. And then over here you can see we've got paragraph tags as well. Over here we've got OL. So OL is an ordered list, so that means when we look at this list, it should go like 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's an unordered list, you see this? This is an unordered list with bullets. This is an ordered list, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so please just remember the difference over there between those two. Then let's see some of the other questions that come up. Insert your examination number. Okay, so it comes up in the tab, and remember, if we put it in here as the title, that is what will come up on the tab itself. Change the font color of the heading, so that will be of our heading section or of our heading itself over here. You'll pop that into that section over there so that it's part of just that heading. Remember, we only want the heading, nothing else. Modify the codes that the image displays. So there might be something wrong with the actual coding of the image itself. Maybe there's a problem with the file extension. That's always a good thing to have a look at. Sometimes it's SCR instead of SRC, just to confuse you a little bit. So just bear that in mind. Modify the code. Okay, modify the table. Now here we can see, here we've got a table. And how do I know that? Well, when I look at this coding, what's the first thing I see? I see a tag for table. I also see a border. Now the border's thickness will depend on the number that you see over there. Then I've got TH, TR, TD. Okay, my TD is my table data, right? What's going in that particular row, because this table data is inside table row, and then this is my table heading. So I've got one heading called game, the next one is pro players, and then under pro players I've got my first row that contains 1, 2 items, my second row that contains 1, 2 items, my third row that contains 1, 2 items. Each tag is closed, the table tag is closed, and there my table should then appear. Okay, modify the table as follows. Change the color, again that, and the border you'll do over there, the color you'll do over there. Row 7 must be merged across 3 columns. That will be your col span for that particular row. So with that row, you're going to put in your col span tag to get that row to actually move over, okay, over 3 columns. Right, and really that's basically it for HTML. If you can do those things, grade 12s, then you're fine. And then we move over to file management, and yeah, they're just really asking us to do little bits and pieces, little things that you know, we are used to doing, you know, from changing file names and folder names to file extensions and attributes, etc. So here, for example, in this first question, they were asking us to use a word processing feature to ensure that 2 words remain together. That's going to be our automatic hyphenation. Okay, so just remember, in Word, Layout tab, hyphenation, we want to put on automatic if it's not selected already. Okay, the next one, use a word processing feature to compare 2 documents. Now, I know this was in, then they want you to make a screenshot of the results and paste it in at the end of this particular document. So you would need to compare these 2, and I think for the purpose of this, let's just do this. Let's just put anything in over here, and I'm going to just save it to my desktop. That's going to be the 1. That's fine. And then the next one, I'm going to change that. And I'm going to say, I'll save that as just anything. Okay, so they're both saved there. So now they want me to do a comparison. They want me to use the word feature, and you can see I can go to review and I can go to compare, and they want me to compare 2 versions of a document. So I need to specify my original one. So I'm going to browse to my desktop, and I'm going to go and look for that particular document. There's my original one, and I want to compare it to the one that I just did. Oh, there we go. Label changes, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. And I'm going to click OK. So do you see what happens now? And I'm just going to close that revisions. There I've got the compared document. You can see there's the original. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of this as they asked me to. And I'm going to, what did they say? They want me to paste it into this document. So that's how we do the comparisons. Then the next one, the author of the document has made 2 changes in the document. Find the 2 changes and accept them. Okay, so remember, when someone has made any sort of change, we can usually go check it in track changes to see, you know, if anyone has made any changes. It'll usually then show up within the document. You see there, the minute I make a change, it'll show up over there. So I can then go and say, well, accept this or reject it, whatever the case is, stop the tracking, and then that's fine. So this is where we are going to be checking for those changes. Right. Next one, change the form controls in the letter as follows. So again, our form fields. We're going to go to our developer tab, and this is where we're going to insert our content controls. Now, most of the time they're going to want you to use the legacy forms, and you can see there, that's my content control for text, for a checkbox, for a drop-down box, you know, insert in a frame, etc. So these are a number of the options that they are actually referring to. This is why they say also add the option 14 in the drop-down form field. So if I was to go down over here and insert a drop-down box and I double-click on it, this is where I can actually add items, add something there, add something there, add something there. Okay, then prepare the mail merge as follows. Okay, now guys, please remember, when it comes to mail merge, this is a 4-step process. We're going to go up to mailings. We always just, and you just follow this process. Start mail merge. They'll tell you it's usually a letter. You're going to go select recipients, and we'll always use an existing list. From there, we are going to insert our merge fields. Just check it through the preview, and then we finish it. Okay, so let's just have a look at this. Link the letter document with a data source. In other words, use our existing list from our recipients. Then select only the companies that have high and a very high level. Replace the text company and level to display company and level. In other words, do a mail merge using this document and this spreadsheet. So here, for example, I've got an actual mail merge document, and I'm going to go mailings, start mail merge, letters. I'm going to use an existing list, and I'm actually going to navigate now to go and find this data source. Okay, so I'm going to use Arts Festival participants. And you can see here, it tells me that there's 2 tables. I'm just going to click OK. And remember, I want to insert school name and surname. Now, I can click on Edit Recipient List. Now, why would I do that? I will use Edit Recipient List when I want to actually modify what needs to go in. So, for example, here with the schools, I'm just going to use this as an example. Let me just sort this ascending. So let's say I actually don't want the Brooklyn schools. Like, I only want to send a letter out, for example, to Glenwood. Okay, that means I can then put a filter in. I can even just go and untick Brooklyn and say, well, I don't really want Brooklyn. I don't want these as well. I only want Glenwood. And when I click OK, and I go, for example, here to school, and I say insert merge field, and I say school, and I go over here, and I say name and surname. Obviously, I'm going to delete all this that's been highlighted over here. Pop in my spaces, you know, whatever you need. And I go preview results. You can see it's going to be Glenwood. And when I go finish and merge, it's only going to produce 3 pages because there were only 3 entries for Glenwood. Okay, so this is what they mean when they're talking about this over here, selecting only the companies. So you would go into that edit recipients and you would make sure that only these 2 are ticked, that everything else has been unticked. Okay, so that's important there, right? And basically that is then it. Again, you want to succeed with your prac, then you've got to practice, practice, and practice some more. But yeah, grade 12s, you know what? Just want to wish you all the best for your prelims. Again, if there's anything else, just let me know in the comments if there's something specific you want me to go through. But have a look at all the videos, see all the resources that are there, and I'll see what I can do to assist you further. So God bless and good luck for your prelims.